Welcome to this VII Insider event. This is the fourth episode of a series that showcases recent work from members of the VII Community. VII Community provides ongoing education and support to a network of VII Academy alumni and Foundry Photojournalism Workshop participants. Every few months, VII Insider photographers from VII Community VII Insider invites photographers from the VII Community to present their stories here. Yeah. So in this episode, we'll look at 3 photography projects that document life in small communities. And we are delighted to be joined by Francisco Vigo. Wait, where's Francisco? There you are. Ksenia Ivanova. Hello, Ksenia, and Mihaela Aroyo. Okay. Yeah, and I think we can get started. What we will do is let us get started with Francisco, with your work. How do you feel about that? Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with your photography career shortly, and how you went into creating this story, yeah, about a small community. And then people who are listening here, you're welcome to send us questions in the Q&A box, and I will follow that and ask Francisco at the end of the presentation if you have any questions. Okay, Francisco.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's an honor to be here with so many talented photographers. So my name is Francisco. I live in Cajamarca in Peru. That's in the North Andes of Peru. I studied communications, and there I took a couple of photography courses, like really basic. But I fell in love with it. I wanted to tell stories. Actually, I wanted to be a writer first. But when I found photography, I realized how much potential it has. Then with the time, I realized you could work on personal projects in order to keep learning and to keep exploring your language. And so in that process, I started working in Kayak Puma, which is a sacred mountain here in Cajamarca. It's not the subject that I'm going to talk about, but it's important because that's where I met Jose Isabel, who is the person that I'm working with right now. I'm going to share my screen. The project is called Soon the Rain Will Come. This project I started working on 2014 when I met Jose Isabel. Then I had to leave the project because of health issues and like all personal projects. And in 2021, around 2021, I started photographing again. A year later, I applied for VII Academy, and so here I am. It's been a really helpful space for me to grow as a photographer, I think. Well, and this is an ongoing process. So here it goes. I'm going to share with you. Okay, so I like maps, so I made this one to show like the magnitude of the places that I'm going to talk about and the names of these places, as they can be like a bit weird. Up here is Minera Yanacocha. It's a really big mine project. It used to be one of the biggest gold mines in the world and in the country. Over here is the Quilis Mountain, which is like a sacred mountain, considered sacred, and also a really important water source for Cajamarca and for all the communities around Porcón. Porcón is inside this orange dotted line. I mean, I know we're talking about small communities and it looks really big, but even though the territory is really big, it's formed by really small communities. Like Chilimpampa, which is where Jose Isabel lives, it's over here. And well, down here is Cajamarca, and here is Kayak Puma, which is where we met. Okay, So this is a foggy morning in Chilimpampa. As you can see, it's really cold and rainy. It's about 3,000 meters above sea level. So there is not much air, and it's got a really good weather for agriculture. They say about the name, they say there used to be a little frog that would sing chilim, 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 like before the rain would come. So it kind of like announced it. And that's why it's called Chilimpampa. Pampa means flat land. So it's kind of like the Chilim frogs flat land. There's also the Chilincaga, and Caga stands for a boulder or a small mountain, which is really close to Chilimpampa. Well, Porcón has a complicated history, this community, as they were brought to Cajamarca as allies of the Incas. They were brought from Ecuador. But around, the Incas were like this really big empire that controlled part of South America before the Spanish came, who came like 50 years later. And they started using them as cheap labor and left them without any land. They were employed as weavers, which is something they still do. And they maintained themselves with small agriculture. There is maybe like in the 70s, around the 70s, there was this major political reform, the agrarian reform, that give them back their land. So they are now owners of their own land, because before they had to pay rent to the hacienda or to the priests who owned the land. But even though they are owners of the land, they continue to be impoverished and racialized for speaking Quechua, which is their original language. And they dress as peasants, and for being who they were in general. Like with racism, you don't need too many reasons. So when Jose Isabel was telling me this story, he mentioned that it was Juan Velasco, the president, a military president who gave a coup before installing this reform, who made them owners of the land. So as a thank you, they named their school after him, and that's over here, on the right. That's the school in Chilimpampa. On the left, there is the traditional house that people in Porcón used to live in. So in the 90s, Minera Yanacocha arrived in Porcón. This is a massive mine, a massive operation, and changed everything drastically, as it was like a really impoverished community. And it comes with millions of dollars, and so it changed all of the relationships socially and economically. In 1998, Yanacocha tried to expand into the Quilish Mountain. That, as I already said, is an important water source. So thousands of peasants and people from the city organized to confront the company. This was like a 2 or 3 year conflict. So they managed to stop this expansion. So it was like a really important win in front of a company that has a lot of political and economical power. It has been involved in a lot of corruption acts. So it was like a really big win for everyone. So the project is right now paused, so it's not stopped at all completely. So it could be reactivated at any moment. So it's still a threat to the water for everyone here. The lesson Yanacocha learned was that they needed to get along with the communities after this. So they started training and hiring the neighbors from Porcón. Also, many welfare programs were created. Like, well, Yana means black, and Cocha means lagoon. So what this hole is, used to be the Black Lagoon, and now it's this horrible pit. So while talking to people, and this is like a really small part of the mine, as you can see in the map, it's like 4 times Cajamarca city, and this is only a small piece of the mine. So while talking to people, I noticed like some sort of resignation, like in the absence of the state, like they never had any help from the government. The company takes a protective role, and people accept it, despite of what is lost in this process. So they have lost their language, the agriculture, and a lot of their own culture. It's being lost, but like I don't want to like judge anyone, because like it's really easy to judge or to critique from the city with internet, with water, with running water and electricity. So anyway, that's a little bit about the process in Porcón. This is the Kilish Mountain seen from a brick house. Now they're building with these new materials and forgetting about adobes. I don't know if that's a word everyone understands, but it's working with wood and mud. But now, as they have more income, they can build these new houses. Okay, so now this is Jose Isabel walking into the forest. He's a Quechua-speaking farmer. He's also a librarian. He's an artist. Actually, he won a rural painting competition in '94 that he made with flowers. He painted with flowers. It's a beautiful painting. He's been an actor. He's been a catechist at church and also a health agent. So he mixes a little bit of medicinal plants and medicines. Back in the day, he also worked on the radio and played his guitar. His grandmother was called Maria Santos and was the Yachaj. A Yachaj is a form of wise person in the community, a healer. Jose Isabel is also a Yachaj. He's really well respected in his community. He's really curious. He's always asking questions. So he learned about medicinal plants and agriculture from his grandmother. This next photo. It's Jose Isabel picking up on their way to the May Cross holiday. He's here with Kenny, his grandson, and their dog, Beethoven, who passed away a few years ago. They are on their way to the May Cross holiday. It's a celebration where they dress a cross with flowers in the cemetery. And then there is a mass and finally a party. They really like to party. But the celebration also coincides with the day of the Chacana. The Chacana is the Southern Cross, it's the cross of the South, which is a very important constellation in ancient Peruvian cultures, as it marks the beginning of sowing. And they also start sowing in the community. So Porcón has a syncretic culture that combines the Andean with the Catholic beliefs and also now more evangelist beliefs. So anyway, this is a transcript from a conversation Jose Isabel had with his school teacher many years ago. And I recorded it while he was talking to some kids at school. Jose Isabel only went to school for 1 year. And I think it helps portray a bit of the reality they lived. Is it okay if I read it? Can I read it? Okay. I wanted to put an audio of him telling this story, but I didn't have the time. Anyway, so this is a conversation. Do you cross rivers? Yes, I crossed 2 rivers. Then bring some sand from where you cross the river. So I carried a bit of sand and a bit of water in my poncho. The poncho is what they were. And then what happened? She made me gather it in the middle of the classroom and said, pull up your pants and kneel for speaking Quechua. Then she tells my classmates, Jose Isabel spoke Quechua, and that's why he's being punished. So I had to learn to speak Spanish against my will. It was sad for me, as I was a 15-year-old boy. So anyway, that kind of portrays how people were treated and how they were like this racist system tried to take them away from the language, which is a really important way to connect with nature, with your reality. This is Jose Isabel nowadays picking up condor. This is a medicinal plant that can also be hallucinogenic. I just found out that. This was shot in the Alto Peru lagoons. It's really close to Porcón. It's a complex of 600 lagoons and almost 300 million cubic meters of water. So this is like a lot of water, and it's a really important and beautiful landscape and ecosystem. But it is close to Yanacocha, gold fields, and other huge and sometimes illegal mines that need water to continue their operations. So this to portray how important it's to protect it. On Tuesday nights, Jose Isabel is cleaned by his daughter-in-law. She's named Francisca, like me. They say it is a good day to perform these kind of rituals on Tuesdays. They cannot do it on any other day. Back in the day, Porconeros would rely on medicinal plants to treat their physical and emotional illnesses. Nowadays, it's considered a sign of poverty and even ignorance. These are some of the plants that we've been collecting with Jose Isabel. I'm sorry. So some time ago, when Jose Isabel started trusting me, he asked me to help him make a herbarium, something to leave with his knowledge for the future generations. So these pictures are intended to be part of that. Well, there's been all sort of experiments too, like well, some photos were made in location. Some others I took to portray on cotton paper because I really like this the texture that it gives. So it's an exploration that I hope to do eventually. This is Jose Isabel working, cleaning his tools before working on his potato crops. This is like the traditional house in Porcón. It's made of rock, wood, and mud. Okay, so this is another conversation I transcribed some time ago, and I would like to read it too because I think it portrays a lot of what moves him, and more about potatoes now, or like tubers in general. So he says, when I was a child, my grandmother used to teach me, but back then, the porconeros, which is how they call themselves, planted only native potatoes. There were no modified seeds. There might have been somewhere, but not here. Modified potatoes were not known, but native potatoes are too delicate. Nobody plants in Chilimpampa. They don't even know about them. I have like 40 kinds. I used to have more. And I asked him, and why do you keep planting potatoes? You can sell them, so what do you win? For the kids to know, the ones who are just coming, my grandkids, so they know that before there was ancient potatoes, another laya. A laya, it's like a way to say kind. Just for that, because there is only enough to eat. You must beg for it to grow. It's too delicate. It's not like before. Then there was plenty. So this is like, well, yeah, and when I met Jose Isabel, he used to have a lot of potatoes, like he would end up with a lot of potatoes, but now it's even less. Even the parcel that he uses to keep planting has gotten smaller because, well, it's not, there's no point in planting more. So even though Jose Isabel tries to keep it organic and like ancient, he has to fumigate them because they are too delicate and often get ruined by fungus, worms, and even the cold weather. And this has also had to do with the climate change, as the rain seasons are crazy now, and even Jose Isabel, who knows how to read the sky, gets confused sometimes. This is the small parcel. Like back then, like 8 years ago when I went for the first time, he had family, neighbors helping him. And now it's only him and maybe one or two people from the community who help him. Even I have taken people to help him out. Sorry. Okay. So these are some of the potatoes he grows. Those are the names. I took these photos some years ago, so I would like to photograph harvest this year again. So I'm hoping that there will be enough potatoes to document. These are the names of the potatoes too. Sorry. They use like Quechua words, but in order to describe what they look like. Like I don't understand why this one is called cat. I don't see the cat, like he said, because it looks like a cat, but it doesn't look. I mean, doesn't look like a cat to me. But anyways, this one is the Yuruk Yumchuagachina. Yurag means white, and Yumchu means purple or dark. And it's supposed to mean the potato that makes the daughter-in-law cry, because it's like really difficult to peel, and there is like this challenge that they have in Porcón, where the women have to peel it without breaking the potato, without affecting it. So, and yeah, I mean, it looks like a really difficult potato to peel. Well, this is an oca. The oca, it's another tuber that you put in the sun for a while and it becomes really sweet. So it's like a really sweet potato that people use to for dessert, especially for the kids. Okay, so this is the Quilish Mountain at night. This is seen from Jose Isabel's house. It's a really big mountain, but as you can see, it has a lot of antennas. And right behind it, it's Minera Yanacocha. Okay, this one is my last image. So I guess I'm not the one to say it, but I consider this is a really nostalgic project because it's mostly about the past. It's a longing for the past, and but it's also a way to leave some sort of legacy of Jose Isabel's work and wisdom. As he and I and we all know that his culture is doomed to disappear, maybe. but it's also normal. It's just a passing of time. So this is like this tribute to him, this living tribute, that I think is better to do now than after. So, yep, and that's it for me. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Francisco. This was beautiful. What a gorgeous portrait, yeah, of Jose Isabel. Thank you. I especially loved those bits of the potatoes and the plants and the herbarium. That's a gorgeous addition to your project and a great layer, yes. So tell me, we have a couple of questions for you, but before that, how have you shown this project at all, or do you plan to publish it? What are your plans to bring it to the audience? What do you think?
Okay, so this is a work in progress. This is still a work in progress. When I started, I didn't have like an idea of how it was going to turn out. So I've been like participating in collective exhibitions here locally, and working on it more seriously like last year during the level 1 seminar. And last year we won. We won. I mean, like talking in plural because it's like a shared process with Jose Isabel. We won this small funding to publish a photo book, which is great to like have, but we have to do it this year. So it's a lot of pressure too, because like now you have the money, so now you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I've been working also on some video stuff, some multimedia stuff. I presented it like a few weeks ago in a collective exhibition in another city from Peru. And yeah, that's kind of like how it's going right now. I hope to turn it into a multimedia project too. I with these conversations with Jose Isabel, I started recording it, and I think there is like a lot of I mean, his voice is really special in the way he speaks. So I think it can complement really good with the pictures.
Wonderful. Yes, both the book and a multimedia project, all of that sounds great. Okay, so to move forward, yeah, we have a couple of questions. The first question on what's a small community, I will leave this to the end to ask every one of the participants. So, okay, let's go with this. Abir Abdullah is asking, interesting story, and like your diverse visual treatment to communicate with more details. Do you plan to create the visuals in advance, or how was your working process?
Okay, so at the beginning, it was like going with the camera and having no idea what was going to happen. But yeah, with time, I think of images, but I try to plan ahead, but you can't really plan because Jose Isabel is like a 70-year-old man who gets tired, and like sometimes he accepts to stand in a certain position. But sometimes he's just like tired and doesn't care, so he just like keeps doing whatever he's doing. So I have to go along with him. So it's really a process like that. Especially for the potatoes and the plants, I do plan ahead how to photograph them. Always experimenting, but that's because it's something that I can take home and work on.
Yeah, great. Okay. Anastas Starbanov is asking, what are they growing there? Is it only potatoes or something else? What is the livelihood of the local people? Are any of them employed by the mine and dependent in that way? And also connected to the mine, Matthew McCarthy is asking, Francisco, you began talking about the mine. How does that mine connect? Tie into the life of Jose. Maybe I missed that connection, he says. So what are they growing, and what's the mine to do with Jose?
Okay, they grow he grows all kinds of tubers, potatoes, ocas, mashua. Like Peru has 3,000 varieties of potatoes, so we have a lot of them. He used to have like 100 seeds, different kind of seeds. Right now he only has like 40. They also plant these other kind of tubers, and that's basically it. They have like some other grains and stuff that they used to eat, but every day is less because, and this is how the mine is connected to everything, people now work in the mine. a lot of them work for the mine or something related to it. So they don't have to grow their food. They can buy it in the market because they have the money now. And like working in the land, it's really hard and it doesn't pay so well. So that's how the mine has changed everything. But they are losing. They are also in this process losing a lot of culture because what happens while you are working on the land, it's really interesting. There is a lot of conversation and a lot of techniques that only come up in the conversation while we're working. So a lot of this is getting lost. And they are also losing their food independence. They will not be able to grow anything in a few years. So the future, I don't think it's so positive in that matter. Jose Isabel is not so related to the mine. He has never worked there, but his son has worked. A lot of his nephews, his brothers, they all have worked at some point in the mine because what else can you do, right? I mean, it's like the only way. But it also has helped the children to go to the university. And like Jose Isabel went 1 year to school. Now people can go to university and go to other cities to study, and they have a lot of new opportunities.
Okay, great. And I think we will need to move forward. And there are a couple of questions. Maybe, Francisco, you can take a note of these, but people are interested and I see lovely words for you in the chat as well. So beautiful work,
Thank
really
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
And just it's sometimes wonderful to focus on one individual and in that way tell such a wide and really the kind of story that shows so much more than just the life of one person. And I think that's what you did. So it's wonderful. Okay. Now we are ready to move forward so that we don't stay, so that, we stay within some time frames that are bearable for everyone. And let us go to Mihaela. Yes, Mihaela. And hear about your work and how you got started to working on your story. We're very curious.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mihaela Aroyo. I'm a photographer from Bulgaria. Let me just share my screen. I've been working on a project about the community of Bessarabian Bulgarians. This is a historical diaspora that lives in Moldova and Ukraine. And this area after which they are named, Bessarabia, it is a historical geographical area, so it doesn't exist anymore as an administrative unit, but it's a historical region, as I say. And to get a little bit of an idea where it is, so the dark green area, this is Bessarabia. I can zoom a little bit. The light green, of course, is Ukraine, and you can see the borders of Moldova here. And Bessarabia is located between the rivers of Prut and Nestor and the Danube Delta. And this community of Bessarabian Bulgarians they migrated from Bulgaria more than 200 years ago, while Bulgaria was still under the Ottoman Empire. And how I started this project. I will move back to this photo because it's from my very first travel from 2019, where I visit annual meeting of young Bessarabian Bulgarians in Stoyanovka village in Moldova. And I really like to explain this story, how I get up in the morning from my hometown, Varna, Bulgaria. I traveled for a few hours. I crossed 2 borders, but in the end, somehow I found myself again in Bulgaria, because when I arrived in this village, everyone was speaking Bulgarian. They were listening to Bulgarian music. They were having these traditional costumes, and it was. I was fascinated. I was even shocked in a very beautiful way, though. Because honestly, in the beginning, I didn't know a lot about this community. I know that we have this historical diaspora, but it wasn't so clear to me how they ended up there and what exactly was their history. And when I started this project, so I've been working for 3 years and a half constantly on this. And the way I saw the project in the beginning for me was to use my work to be some kind of a connection between the diaspora and my home country, Bulgaria. To use my work as a way to spread the knowledge about the community, because for 200 years since they migrated, they still keep their language, they still speak Bulgarian, a very interesting old form of Bulgarian, actually. So they use some words, for example, that we already lost in our language. Yeah, generally they really identify themselves as Bulgarians. And as I was starting to say, in the beginning of my fieldwork, I was really focusing on the traditions, on religion, because I believe religion also plays a big role in the community holding together. And also I was looking for active members of the community who really contribute for the preservation of the local culture. And another aspect that it's really important for me, it's the landscape, because I believe the landscape is really defining the environment. The landscape is really defining for the life wherever you live. And here specifically, the region is mostly steppe, and it could be a harsh environment to live in, because, for example, you have very hot summer, very cold winters, you have long, dry months, and in the same time, most of the people in the area, they rely on agriculture and on animal growing to sustain their life. And another aspect of why I like to focus also on landscape is because I can see when I read the local authors, the Bessarabian writers, poetry or any kind of literature, the image of the steppe appears all the time. So it's obviously something that they themselves find that is defining for them. And I would like to also say that through this project, I really got engaged in history. And because this the region history is very complex, maybe, yeah, you will hear us all telling about that. Francisco and Ksenia as well were sharing this, that they find the regions that they exploring very complex in historical aspect. And here, for example, in Bessarabia, for 200 years since Bulgarians first migrated there, the nationality of the area changed 8 times. In the beginning, it was this area was part of the Russian Empire. Then after Crimean War, it became part of Moldova. Then again, by the end of the 19th century, it was part of the Russian Empire. In between the 2 world wars, it was part of Romania. And yes, after the Second World War, it was part of the Soviet Union. And now, since the 90s, this region, Bessarabia, it is divided between Moldova and Ukraine. And of course, all these different countries, regimes, politics, they all have their own rules and limitation, and they have the influence over the people life and their identities, what is the topic also that I explore. And I like, at some point I started to see this, that maybe this is one of the main reasons why this community is holding so strongly together, because everything around them change all the time. Different countries, different language, different limitations, cultures, requirements from the top. And the only thing that doesn't change, it's them. So this is why I believe they keep their identity so strong. It's it's the thing that holds them in a way. And of course, today also the war in Ukraine brings some new uncertainty in the region, and it's something that I also want, and I explore and I observe how this current war is affecting identity in the area. And I was telling you that I started to engage a lot in history through this project. And I wanted these different historical layers to be present visually in the project. And for example, this picture, it's from Ukraine, from a place called Frumushika Nova. And after the World War II, there were still 2 Moldovan villages in this place. But when the Soviet Union came, they evicted these villages and they wanted to build, they did it, they built a big military base. This base was working until the late 90s. After that, everything disappeared. And now in 2006, one man whose grandfather once was from these Moldovan villages that were evicted, he built in this area his farm. He is raising animals, he's producing cheese, also wine, but he also built a very big open-air ethnographical museum where he has the houses from all the different ethnic minorities that live in the area. And he also has this kind of park with communist monuments, because since 2015, there is this law in Ukraine, decommunization law. And it means that all kind of communist symbols are forbidden. For example, also all the streets that were carrying the names of communist leaders, they had to change their names. And in this park, this man, he collected monuments from all around Ukraine. And it's really a very surreal experience, I have to say, to stand in this park and in a circle, and all around you, you are seen by absolutely the same Lenin sculpture. Of course, I also let myself wander a lot. Wander, not wonder, but of course, always wonder. But I let myself wander. I don't always have a plan when I travel around. And by this, I can discover some candid moments like this one, for example, which is taken in one of culture house. But also in this kind of photos, you can again trace these different layers that I talk about, layers from the different historical periods. Maybe I can also just share with you a little bit about my timeline. And as I told you already, my first travel was in 2019, but I only begin long-term field work a year and a half after. So it's been 3 years and a half since I started going maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I go there. Sometimes I spend a week, sometimes I'm able to spend more, like 15 days or 20 days. And I visited more than 60 villages now, and I spent over 100, maybe 120 days in the area. And sometimes I like to also joke with myself because I'm so immersed in this project that I don't know if I will ever have another one. Because I really met a lot of friends, good friends there. I'm able to see their children growing, and it became a very, very special, very magic place for me, Bessarabia. And I would like to maybe finish with this, that apart from, as I told you in the beginning, I was seeing this project mostly as a kind of a connection between the diaspora and Bulgaria, my home country. But I also, after discovering all these historical layers, I believe it can be used in a way to explore this idea of how historical events are affecting our ideas of identity and home. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mihaela. This was beautiful, amazing aesthetic, wonderful colors, and one can see that you spent really so much time on that. That's wonderful. So since when have you been photographing? When did you go there for the first time?
For the first time, it was in the summer of 2019. But it was only for one night. And after that, I was starting to plan the long-term field work. But of course, I was just planning that. And it was the spring of 2020 when it was COVID and I couldn't travel immediately. So my long-term field work actually started in autumn of 2020.
Okay, wonderful. And what do you think to do with the project later on?
Sorry?
And what do you think to do with the project in the future, in the coming future?
So I already did a few exhibitions here in Bulgaria. I started after the first 2 or 3 trips. I already started to make exhibitions. And for example, I made 2 exhibitions in villages that are known that people once migrated, especially from these villages. And it's still, you can trace this history, and they even communicate sometime between them, these villages. And they even, what is interesting, for example, some of the villages, when people were migrating, when they settle again in Ukraine or Moldova today, they preserve the names. So the name of the village. So now you have, for example, the village of Golitsa that is near my hometown, and you have the village of Golitsa in Ukraine. And I made, exhibitions there. And I really want to work on a photo book, but I'm not in any rush with this. I really want to be a good one, and I think, I need to include a lot of different layers, history, and maybe include some journalist texts. And it's still something that it's only on my mind.
In progress. But yes, the book sounds like a logical and beautiful continuation. Okay, and let me read out a couple of questions for you. So Matthew McCarthy is asking, you captured the dignity of your subjects quite nicely. How did you gain access to your subjects?
Well, access actually turned out to be surprisingly easy because they are Bulgarians. Yeah, they are in another countries. They are a Bulgarian diaspora, but I'm a Bulgarian. And what is very interesting. Because I'm Bulgarian, I have the access of language, of course, and also, it's a great hospitality that these people have, and they especially feel great connection when they meet from. Sometimes when I go there, they call me, "Oh, here it is, a real Bulgarian." So for them, it's kind of an honor to meet with me, and that's why it's somehow a mutual process. We are able to give to each other. I take something from them, but I also give to them, and for that reason, it was always very easy. Sometimes I just pass the street and they hear me speak Bulgarian. Oh, come to my home. Let's have a tea. Let's have a coffee. They just invite you from the street. Really, hospitality is very typical for them.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. And one more question. Bir Abdullah is asking, hi, Mihaela. Good works, especially photographing history and life now with a traditional visual approach. What about including some strong portraits that carry memories of the past?
Maybe portrait is not the thing that I am best at. As I mentioned, for example, in the beginning, I was searching a lot for some active members of the community to present them, and I was portraying them. But I guess generally I am more into capturing some situations as they are and observing. For example, I spent a lot of time with people. I take the time I make interviews with them. We spent a long hours of speaking, but this doesn't necessarily result in a good photograph. So sometimes that's why I think it's important to rely not only on photography in this project, but use also text and interviews, audio to be able to tell this story.
Yeah, from different angles. That's great. Okay, and I will maybe leave this last question to you. You can type it if you want, whenever you have a moment, because it would be great for us to move forward. Thank you so much, Mihaela. That was a beautiful presentation, and looking
Thank
forward
you.
to see how it comes together in the future. Yeah, in a book or however you would like it to be. And let's move on to Ksenia Ivanova, and your project. We're all ears. We're very curious to.
Hi, Anush. Hi, everybody. Thank you, guys. My name is Ksenia Ivanova. I'm from St. Petersburg, Russia. I have lived between Georgia and Germany for the last 2 years. Now I'm based in Berlin. As a visual storyteller, I've worked mostly with long-term projects, and several years ago, I was glad to join to a VII Academy as a fellow. And I worked on the story, what I want to show you today about a small community. I want to share my screen, one moment. So this story about a small community survives in post-conflict conditions in Abkhazia. This story is part of my long-term 5-year project, and therefore it is important for me to tell today also about the context. Almost 15 years before the full-scale invasion in Ukraine in August 2008, Russia deployed troops into neighboring state, Georgia. It's happened amidst the growing tensions in South Ossetia. You can see it here in the center is a tiny region in the heart of Georgia that declared independence in light of deadly clashes that took place during the last months of the Soviet Union. After a quick victory in 2008, Russia recognized the independence of South Ossetia and another Georgian breakaway region, Abkhazia. Is it here from the left side? And expanded its military presence in these territories and began fortify their boundaries. 4 other countries followed Russia's suit, but the majority of states in the global community continue to consider these regions part of Georgia. This conflict remains unresolved to this day and is ready to erupt at any moment. For today's talk, I would like to show you just one of the many stories in the project, and this story of a small village mining community located here in Abkhazia. You could see it here. For more than a decade now, the Russian armed forces have continued to build and strengthen they consider to be the border alongside Abkhazia and South Ossetia, or Tskhin Valley region. They are building fences and separating families with barbed wire, with no regard for their ethnicity. Every year, dozens of Georgians, Ossetians, and Abkhazians who try to cross this separation line are imprisoned. At the end of 2023, there were reports of the construction of a new Russian naval base in Abkhazia, which, according to some experts, could be used to expand the military campaign against Ukraine. Political isolation and financial dependence on the Kremlin is both disputed. Regions contribute to mass unemployment, corruption, and human rights abuses. Abkhazia is trying to assert its independence to exchange for giving its land to Russian military bases. More than 250,000 Georgians expelled from Abkhazia and South Ossetia have been unable to return to their homes. In this project, I focus on 3 neighboring former mining villages in the mountains region of Abkhazia, which I showed you before, which were hardest hit by the wars. Previously, about 2,000 people lived in these prosperous villages before the war. Now there are only about 100 people. The conflict continues to affect the remaining residents, raising questions about the future for the younger generation. Here on this photo, you can see Shamil Kurtagli. He is 16 years old. He, his brother, and little sister bring raises by their grandmother because their mom moved to Russia for work. And at the time of this photo, their father was in prison for killing 5 people while drunk. They live in a semi-abandoned house in the former mining village of Akarmara, surrounded by more empty houses. Economic and political isolation has caused high unemployment throughout the region. In the photo, Shamil is holding some of the rabbits which he raises for food. Here you are looking at now is the village of Akarmara. It is a shadow of what it used to be. Before the war, it was a busy mining village, the industrial center of Abkhazia. Its population was over 5,000 of different nationalities, Ossetians, Georgians, Russians, Ukrainians, etc. After the war, there was no work left in the area, and the area was abandoned, and there are only about 100 people who remain. Some of these include the children you can see in this photo playing football near an abandoned train and coal sorting station here on the. Here is Shamil and his cousin harvesting grapes. Their grandfather, Dmitry Kurtagli, planted and raised the vines himself. Sorry. The vines have grown to the 5th floor, but it doesn't disturb anyone. The 70 years old Dmitry is the sole resident of his half-empty apartment building. This extremely fertile region is a paradise for his grandchildren, even though most have forgotten it. Here, Vitaly Bikeyev swims in a mountain river called the Galitska River. His post-war life is very different from before the war. Vitaly was once a commander of a mountain rescue team for the old local mines. He was responsible for saving countless lives, as was his brother and father. It's an identity they took pride in. Then the mines were closed permanently. Vitaly has no other job prospects. When his father died, he had no choice but to bury himself in his own backyard. Russian tourists are climbing a mountain waterfall near Akarmara. More than 1 million Russian tourists come to Abkhazia every year for its natural beauty and climate. After the Russian full invasion in Ukraine, more Russian tourists visit Abkhazia as its border policies are not restricted for Russian passports. Irina Klimenko lives alone in the village of Polyana. There are almost no neighbors or houses fit for living. Irina was in a house fire and suffered second-degree burns all over her body. To save her life, her son Alexei rushed her to Georgia, where the emergency medical treatment is much better than in Abkhazia. But her son has a Georgian last name. Border restrictions for those with Georgian surnames meant that her son was forbidden from leaving Abkhazia to be with his mother, and she was left to recover without any support or even a familiar face. This is a common thing for those Georgians who live in Abkhazia. He's 70 years old, called Tamas Kurtagli. He is at home posing with a marten he shot in the village of Akarmara. Tamas, he did not finish school, and now he serves in Abkhazian army. Anastasia, 16, is going up the stairs to the top observation deck near Akarmara. She wears a festive Abkhazian woman's dress. Anastasia cannot get an Abkhaz passport because of her Georgian heritage. To quote Anastasia, Everyone who wants peace with the Georgians is considered a traitor here. I don't believe in peace. Maybe my grandchildren will see it. She has a Georgian last name, but she thinks like this. And in Abkhazia, there is a strong ideology against Georgians. And her uncle was dead during the war. So that's why she have so strong opinion about that. With no electricity, a family in these villages warms themselves next to a stove in Jantuha village. The mother of 5 in this family receives around €5 per child monthly. They are cleaning corn to make flour. This is particularly no work in the district. Vitaly Bikeyev returns home. He lives here in Akarmara with his brother and a handful of other residents. Most residents of the nearby Akarmara area live in similar conditions. Over the last 30 years, dampness, mold, and insects have slowly destroyed the insides of the houses. This photo captures an 11th grade graduation ceremony in Kvarchele, in Abkhazia and Kvarchal. Most Abkhaz children speak only Russian language. In the Gali region where Georgians live, the de facto authorities of Abkhazia have introduced only Russian medium schools. I put 2 photos from my bigger project to this story about small communities. So this story, this particular picture, not from these villages, but from Sukhum or Sukhumi. This is like a main city in Abkhazia. And here is a Russian sailors at a military parade in Sukhumi or Sukhum. This parade celebrates the 30th anniversary of Abkhazia's victory over Georgia. Russia maintains more than 20 military facilities in Abkhazia and holds regular military exercise near the border with Georgia. At the end of 2023, the facto Abkhazian authorities announced the construction of a Russian Navy base near this border. Yana, 15, poses for a portrait at her home in Jantuha village. She is in her 9th year of school, but decided not to graduate it because she sees no point then there are no jobs waiting for her. Yana's sister wants to go to Russia. She does not see a future in her land. Clan crime is one of the invisible driving forces in de facto Abkhazia. The clans claim this territory for themselves. Here on this photo, you can see a toll taker. He waits for Russian tourists at the entrance to one of the main mountain waterfalls in the Kvarchele region. Locals who oppose the barriers are met with cars full of armed clan members. Mateo, 7, plays in abandoned remains in Akarmara, where he lives nearby with his family in a semi-abandoned building. Russian tourists who came to this area often mistake Mateo and his parents for hosts. And the last photo also from my bigger project, this is a funeral of Tamas Ginturi, killed on November 6, 2023 by Russian border guards in the village of Kirbali, Georgia, on the border with South Ossetia, Tskhinvali region. Tamas Ginturi, 58, was a veteran of the Russian-Georgian War and a resident of this border village. To conclude, I photographed this project over a 5 years period from 2019. It gives an insight into the long-term consequences of the unresolved conflicts in the South Caucasus and raises the question of the future of the territories which Russia declared independent. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I will be glad to answer.
Thank you, Ksenia. Thank you so much. What an emotional and such a delicately photographed project. I loved it. And I've seen some of the photos before as well, but but to see this larger edit where every photograph is just so well thought of and composed and photographed, I think you did a great job. What
Thank
are
you so
you
much,
doing
Anush.
with this? Have you shown it already? I think you have, because I've seen this story before. And how do you feel you want to publish it?
Yeah, I show it a little bit, just 3 or 1 pictures, and I didn't want to show it before I finish, because it's quite hard to cross the border from several sites, and it's it's not 100% safety, and I want to be very accurate with this story. So now I'm working on photo book. I think I didn't finish it in this year. I'm not sure about next year, but I will try. And I also want to speak with people from several sites and continue to take their stories for books, because for me it's important to show to give the voices of people in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. So Tanya Tkachova, who's a great photographer, in her turn, says amazing and strong projects and photographers, and she's sending you hugs. Yeah, so
Thank you, Tanya.
this is wonderful. And then there are messages for you guys here in the chat as well. All of them kind and yeah, well taken. So yeah, if anybody else has any question to every one of the participants, you guys can go ahead. But before closing, I will just return to the first question that was asked. The question was, what does a small community mean to you? And like, what would you say, for example, Ksenia, like, what does it mean to you to photograph a community that's so it's not just small, but it's also, it's one of those communities that's just pretty much harassed by events happening, from controlled by powers that are beyond them. How does it feel for you to work with such a community?
It was hard in the beginning to make the access, because it's somehow a very like closest community, and a lot of Russian tourists are there, so people are really tired from this kind of attention. So I just decided to live there with people in these semi-abandoned houses, and I think this is the best option in this case, is just to live with people and in this cold semi-abandoned buildings, and try to feel on your own body and mind how it is to live in these post-war conditions. And step by step, I started to meet more people, and they started to trust me. And this is the big responsibility for me. Then I decided to speak from another side of the conflict about that. And I hope that my story also somehow will help them. And I want to send a part of my images to the small museum in one of the village, and it will help to this community also to survive. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I was just reading the news a few days ago that the museum in the gallery of paintings in Sukhumi in the capital was burnt down. So
yeah,
it's horrible. So that's not the museum that you're talking
No. I mean the small museum in this particular village. It's like
about?
a homemade museum in one of the semi-abandoned village. Yeah. But of course, I also heard the stories. It's horrible because the fire destroyed a lot of paintings of famous Abkhazian artists.
Yes, that's true. And one more question from an anonymous attendee. The person says, beautiful stories and works. Thank you all for sharing. What is your advice on approaching a community to work on a story? How to approach a community? And so this is a question that I guess after Ksenia, also Mihaela and Francisco can answer. But before that, I will just answer to Ted, who says, not what it means. I'm talking what in size is considered small. I guess it's a little difficult to answer what in size is considered a small community. But the photographers who were invited to this event were working with relatively small and certain communities, basically defined, sometimes not very small communities. So it's a bit of a not an exact answer that you can get, Ted. Okay, but let's return to how to approach these communities. Yes, Ksenia, if you can tell us shortly. We're past 7, but let's give it some 10 more minutes, and then we will finish the episode today. Okay.
Sorry, Anush, could you repeat the question because
Yes. So how would you advise to approach a community to work on a story as you start to work on a story?
Approach, it mean like to make access or as I already said, the main advice is to be honest with people, to have responsibility for all what you're doing, to be clear what you want to doing, to tell people what you want to do with these photos. And yeah, I think this is important thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. And what would you say, Mihaela? How would you approach it? How do you approach it?
Yeah, of course, I agree with what Ksenia say. It's important to be really open and honest. Usually, in any communication, if you're honest, people also are honest with you. So it's, yeah, again, for me, it's some kind of a mutual connection. It's needed. And to be more specific, for example, when I first traveled to this region for this young Bessarabian Bulgarians meeting, I found on the internet the organization that makes this meeting, and I just wrote to them, hi, I'm Mihaela, I'm a photographer from Bulgaria. I'm interested to get to know you, and can I come and meet you? And it's very basic, really. And I went there. Of course, it depends on the topic. Sometimes you need to be more delicate, I guess. For me, as I mentioned earlier, it's been quite easy in a way because of the way that how they see me, because they also value my presence there. But it's also something that grows with time, because when I went to this first festival, it was only for this first trip during their festival, it was only one night. But I exchanged a lot of contacts in social network with different people from the community. And the next time I started to plan my travel, I wrote to some of the people, hey, can you please recommend me a place to go, or someone who you think is important for the community, so I can meet them and interview them. And little by little, I already know, yeah, a lot of people from there, and it's just need time.
Yes.
Honesty and time. Let's fix it.
Wonderful. Okay. And what about you, Francisco? What was it for you?
Well, for me, it was I started out as a friendship with Jose Isabel. Over the years, we've become like, I think it's a true friendship. I know his son, his daughter, a lot of his family. Sometimes they invite me to parties, to like family reunions. So that's really nice. But it does. I mean, I agree with everything Ksenia and Mihaela have said. There is something that I think nobody likes and is feeling used. So it is important to have this personal relationship before the project, like protecting people, because like we know images can be dangerous and in a way to manipulate. So I think that it's really important. And keep coming back. Like I think people appreciate the respect of their time, and that one keeps coming back and not just like steals their image and goes away and like like keep moving. So yeah, I think that's what I can add.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great answer. It's always important to, and the fact that each of you kept returning and really nurturing these relationships, that's is one of the secrets as well. The fact that the people trusted you and it was really a relationship and not just a one-sided reality. Okay, let's just take one last question, and whoever of you wants to answer, please go ahead. This is related to grants, funding. So Marina Calderon is asking, hello, Mihaela, Ksenia, Francisco, and Anush. Thank you for sharing your work. It was inspiring to listen to all of you. Could you please share any tips on how to finance a long-term project, such as grants to apply to? Also, I would like to know more about the process of finding a topic that motivates you to work for such an extended period of time. Okay, so grants and motivation. Who would like to answer that? And this will be the last question.
I could start. So for me, it was like several things, but most of all, I didn't know. I think in the beginning you didn't know that it will be long-term project. You know how the same. I mean, with love. If you love somebody, you don't know when it's finished. And I think with long-term project, the same story. And in the beginning, I just didn't know how it will be. And my first trip there was an assignment from Charity magazine. I shoot to cover the people's lives there, and after that I realized that I want to come back, and I just started to come back there by myself to put my own finance there, and it's not really good strategy. If you could avoid this, please do this. But now I think that I need to more to apply for some grants. Of course, I think this is the best strategy, and also to try to maybe to make differences and try to tell the small story and maybe try to pitch the story for some magazine. It's also could be a good strategy, and you could you don't need in this case spend a lot of money for expenses, for roads, for plants, etc. And so grants, pitch your stories to magazines or newspapers, and yeah, some people or some colleague also could raise money via like Kickstarter or something like that. I didn't use it, but it's also could be a strategy, especially if you already made your like half project, that you could show this to people. So yeah, I think these three strategies could be useful. Mm-hmm. And what do you think, guys?
I would like to answer first the question of motivation. So just find something that you're really interested in, because as me, for example, I also, as Ksenia said, you don't know when you start something if it's gonna grow or no, and what it's going to be and for how long. I still don't know if and when I will end my project, probably never. But when you feel that you're really interested in something, that's it. I don't know, it just finds you somehow. I don't see any strategy in this. For me, it's very hard for me to work on something that it's not interesting for me. So yeah, I really don't have like a strategy advice or business advice on that. And for funding, maybe try first locally. At least this is what I did. In the beginning, I applied for funding from National Culture Fund in Bulgaria. So maybe this is easier as a beginning because it's a smaller competition, let's say. And yes, after that, I also last year applied to some grants. I don't really have a lot of experience in pitching my story. So yeah, for me, it's funding from my country and from photography grants and working other stuff and financing my personal work.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, and what about you, Francisco? How did you finance your work, actually?
Yeah, like the same. I think on the motivation also, it's like, yeah, when you feel it, you feel it. Just and see how far you can go. And with financing, yeah, it's been really difficult. I applied for a lot of grants, but I only got one when we worked as a collective project with another friends. And then it's all like it all comes out from my own pocket. I've been thinking about like start selling prints and look for a way to finance. But yeah, it's like working on different stuff to finance this project.
Okay. Well, wonderful. I think all of your answers are so informative, and they just they fulfilled this whole presentation, this whole episode. And I think the work of you all is beautiful, and it deserves the best. It deserves to be seen by audiences as wide as possible. So thank you today. Thank you for being here, for showing your work. Mihaela, Ksenia, Francisco, thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck. And the comments in the chat are all so positive and beautiful. Thank you to the audience for being here and listening to these stories. Okay, and
Thank you, Anush.
Thank you so much. We'll see you at the next VII Insider episode, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hello.
Bye, guys.
Bye.